Justices Thomas and Alito lash out at the decision that cleared the way for same-sex marriage. Cool video player. Justice Clarence Thomas joined by Alito. No!
Something greater than they once were, of love, fidelity, union. No union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than they once were and would misunderstand.
Cringe. Marriage is gay. But what I guess everyone should be able to be gay. Whatever.
Petitioners to say that they disrespect or diminish the idea of marriage in these cases. They're pleased that they do respect it. They respect it so deeply they seek to find its fulfillment for themselves. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law, and the Constitution grants them that right. It is most often through democracy that liberty is preserved and protected in our lives. Yet there's been substantial public deliberation over the past decades, and it is a central premise of our Constitution that fundamental rights depend on the outcome of no elections.
From the dawn of human history until a few years ago, for every people known to have populated this planet, marriage was defined as the union of a man and a woman. This is a court, not a legislature. Under the Constitution, we have power to say what the law is, not what it should be. And while the policy argument
literally false, by the way. Like, literally factually incorrect. By the way, if you guys ever want to, like, really take the fucking black pill, okay, you need to read in the dissenting opinions of conservative judges during civil rights cases. These principled constitutional conservatives will say the most insane shit to defend whatever civil rights travesty they're currently defending. They will say wild shit. Of course, my favorite example of this still being that when the court determined that biases against sex in a work environment were also, or sorry, that biases against sexual orientation were also in violation of a person's protected statuses. That one dissenting conservative judge said, well, if we interpret everything that has the word sex in it to be about sex, then you could say you're not allowed to be fired for anything because it's all protected classes. You couldn't be fired for carrying a sextant. You couldn't be fired for misspelling a saxophone. Like, it's just some insane shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was saying you can't be fired for sexually harassing somebody else because that has the word sex in it. So firing somebody for sexual harassment would be the same as firing them because they're a woman. This is a Supreme Court. Which one was that, by the way? Which guy was that? I know one of you knows. One of you guys knows. No, I don't think it was Scalia. I don't think it was Scalia. Was it Roberts? Thomas?
Arguments for extending marriage to same-sex couples may be compelling, but legal arguments for requiring such an extension are not. There will be consequences to shutting down the political process on an issue of such profound public significance. Closing debate tends to close minds. Indeed, however heartened the proponents of same-sex marriage might be on this day, it is worth acknowledging what they have lost, and lost forever: the opportunity to win the true acceptance that comes from persuading their fellow citizens of the justice of their cause.
What a piece of shit, dude. Wow. What a fucking piece of shit. But, by getting this Supreme Court case, you've all actually been robbed of the ability, by abolishing slavery, you've actually been robbed of the chance of convincing your fellow man that slavery is wrong. By giving women the right to vote, you didn't even argue the free marketplace idea. What a fucking idiot.
Now, if you are among
It was Roberts who wrote the dissent? Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought. Thank you.
the many Americans of whatever sexual orientation who favor expanding same-sex marriage, by all means celebrate today's decision. Celebrate the achievement of a desired goal. Celebrate the opportunity for a new expression of commitment to a partner. Celebrate the availability of new benefits, but do not celebrate the Constitution. It had nothing to do with it.
Wah. Justice Thomas, joined by Alito, shut up! Lashed out. How do I close the player? What the fuck? It just follows me? Jesus. Lashed out on Monday at the religious liberty implications of Supreme Court's 2015 decision that cleared the way for same-sex marriage nationwide. Thomas wrote that the decision, Obergefell versus Hodges, enables courts and governments to brand religious adherents who believe that marriage is between one man and one woman as bigots, true, making their religious liberty concerns that much easier to dismiss. Wait, hold on. What? Wait, so ruling that marriage pays no respect to the gender of those who participate in it is actually a violation of religious liberty because it implicitly suggests that the people who believe it's between a man and a woman are bigots? Wouldn't that suggest that the Supreme Court of the United States is an agency designed to preserve the dignity and respect of Christianity and not the Constitution of the United States? What the fuck are you talking about? Your job isn't to come to conclusions that make Christians look as good as possible. Your job is to interpret the law. You aren't interfering with people's religious liberty by not letting a religious definition of marriage be the state one. This is literally like separating church and state is actually violating the religious liberty of Christians to take control of the state. Thomas's strong opinion came down on the first day of the court's new term and reflects the fact that critics of the landmark opinion from 5 years ago that was penned by now retired Justice Anthony Kennedy are still infuriated by its reasoning. They believe the court should have left the decision to the political arena and have long said it will infringe upon the rights of those who have religious objections to same-sex marriage. Look at this. And long said it will infringe upon the rights of those who have religious objections to same-sex marriage. Bro, churches don't pay taxes. I'm sorry. If you're a church and you have the legal ability to form a legal union between people, that legal union has to adhere to standards set upon by the government, okay? I'm really sorry, guys. You don't get to have a fucking tax-free fucking pyramid scheme that you run while also getting the benefit of ensuing religious persecution in your delivery of a legal status, okay? Supporters of LGBTQ rights are fearful the court is poised to continue a trend from last term, ruling in favor of religious conservatives in key cases. The case that prompted Thomas's statement concerned Kim Davis, a former county clerk in Kentucky who gained national attention in 2015. I remember this bitch. And was jailed after declining to issue marriage licenses out of an objection to same-sex marriage. Remember the brave state employee who broke the law by discriminating against people, and people treated her like a hero? The High Court on Monday declined to hear an appeal on her case. Good. Thomas called Davis one of the first victims of the court's cavalier treatment of religion. Kim Davis was a county clerk. She broke the law. This wasn't a violation of her freedom of religion. She didn't have any fucking freedom of religion in the capacity of her work. She had a job to do. These Republican or conservative Supreme Court justices don't give a fuck about the Constitution, by the way. The Founding Fathers would be rolling in their fucking graves reading this shit. She was an employee of the state. If I'm a fucking Satanist, I don't get to not hand out fucking marriage licenses to heterosexual couples or whatever, okay? If I did that, I would be fired because I'm not doing my job. If I adhere to some crazy religious sect, I don't get to refrain from doing my job in certain respects. You can make this argument maybe if they're a fucking priest or pastor or something like that, but she's not. She works from the state. That's her job. But warned she will not be the last victims of cavalier treatment of religion. He said her case was not properly presented before the court, but he urged his colleagues to revisit the religious liberty implications of the landmark opinion down the road. Dude, marriage is a legal construct. It doesn't matter if it shares a name with the religious construct. It doesn't matter. Marriage is legal. It's designated by the state. Religious liberties give you no authority in refraining to provide marriage licenses to people. He warned that the court had chosen to privilege a novel constitutional right over the religious liberty interests explicitly protected in the First Amendment. That's not what the First Amendment says. Nothing in the First Amendment says that if you're of a certain religion, you don't have to do certain parts of your job. And by doing so undemocratically, the court has created a problem only it can fix. Thomas also noted he agreed with the decision to not take up the case, writing it did not cleanly present important ideas raised about the decision in Obergefell versus Hodges. Oh, that's really nice. So the only reason why Thomas didn't accept the case for Kim Davis is because it didn't cleanly present the important questions surrounding the law that opened the way to making gay marriage legal. Steve Vladek, a CNN legal analyst, said the opinion is a telling and ominous message for the justices' dissent. The opinion lays down a marker that at least some of the justices already view the court's recognition of a constitutional right to same-sex marriage as an affront to religious liberty. God, this place is such a fucking dictatorship, dude. Holy shit. I am so fucking tired of Christians. Holy fuck. Listen, I know that a lot of edgy atheists or whatever, are like it's out of vogue or whatever, but holy fuck, I despise Christianity. I fucking abhor Christianity, okay? Individual Christians can be good people, but as an institution, Christianity has been on the wrong side of every single civil rights issue in the history of humanity. Every single fucking time. Christianity is always on the wrong side. Every time. The church has beaten down every attempt at earning civil rights. The church has been opposed to trans people. The church has been opposed to gay people. The church was used in defense of slavery. The church has always been an institution of religious bigotry. It has always been used to justify it. And why wouldn't it? It's a hyper-traditionalist, patriarchal organization. Why would it not be conservative? There are good churches, and there are good religious people, or whatever. But listen, frankly, religion, monotheistic religion, is literally like a deified version of ultimate hierarchy. You literally believe your entire life, all morality in all of the universe is oriented around the rigid and deterministic perspective of one entity. Of course, religion is always going to be used as a tool to oppress. That's how it works. Yeah, the church was against poor people being taught to read, too, because if poor people could read, it would take away from the power of the clergy, who could read Latin and would read out the Bibles during sermons. What do you mean the church, which fucking one? You can play semantics if you want. For Catholicism, it's obviously referring to the institution of the Catholic Church. For Protestantism, it's more of the evangelical Protestant base as a whole. Evangelical Protestants in this country are death cultists. They are horrid. They represent the most fanatically conservative portion of this country. They've been on the wrong side of every single civil rights issue for centuries. And what's more, their strongest political impetus seems to be about denying people human rights. Like, that's what really gets them off, you know? Remember how when Trump moved, when he moved the embassy over in Israel, he commented that the evangelical Christians were more excited than the actual Israeli people were. You know why? Evangelical Christians are of the belief that, among other preconditions that need to be met, if the chosen people, the Jewish people, live back in their homeland, they will essentially be sacrifices to the next coming of Christ, to the rapture. That is something they actually believe in their heads. They actually believe that. You've seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where like the country of Amestris, they were going to sacrifice it to make a god dude or whatever, you know? Know what I'm talking about? That. They're doing that to Israel. That's what they think they're doing, you know? Let me ask you a question, okay? If a person in their head, genuinely believed they had the ability to kill a person by doing this with their hand and pointing it at them and going, pah, if they really genuinely believed that, what would you think? How would you feel if they did that to you? Is there any difference from the perspective of their moral character between them having done that and them having fired an actual gun. Because to them, both of those instances had the exact same likelihood of ending in your death. That's what they're doing right now. Yeah, it's like pulling a trigger you think is loaded, exactly. Like if they picked up a gun that was empty, that's a better example. If there's a gun you know is empty and they pick it up and they point it at you and they fire, what does that make them? That's what they're doing to the Jewish people right now. They claim, very anti-Jew, very pro-Israel. Why pro-Israel? Israel is a little box they can put all the Jews in because they think the rapture is going to come. They think all the Jews are going to be consumed in holy fire and that it will bring about the coming of Christ. This drives American foreign policy. There are serious diplomats who spend years of their lives navigating foreign policy for the explicit intent of bringing about the apocalypse. This is the country that I live in. This is the country a lot of you live in. This is real. This isn't a joke. We live under death cultists. Christians are far more of a threat to the world than the Muslims by exponential degrees. When it comes to the fact that America is leading the world and fucking us all over on climate change, when it comes to the fact that America's foreign relations, its policing of the world has led to a geopolitical context where we are closer now to the doomsday clock than we have ever before. These are Christians in America. These are American Christians who back this. This is our holy war in Iraq. Trump claiming there are two books that matter to him, The Art of the Deal, the Bible. Yeah. Oh yeah, evangelicals are the worst of them. But let's not fool ourselves into believing that non-evangelical Christians don't also participate in a structure that emboldens the evangelicals. If there weren't non-evangelical Christians, the evangelicals would be called cultists. The fact that there are so many hundreds of millions of decent Christian people is the cloak, the guise the evangelicals get to wear. And there are also a lot of non-evangelicals who are pretty terrible people too on account of the religion. But Muslims believe that Jesus will return to defeat Satan. Yeah, well, put Muslims in charge of the most dangerous country on the planet and we'll see we'll see. Listen, it's not an essentialist thing. If you made Jews like the runners of the world the way Christians are, then I think they'd probably be potentially just as dangerous. Same with Muslims, same with maybe not Sikhs, but Hindus, certainly. There is I just don't like what religion does to people. Sikhs are chill as hell? Sikhs are chill as hell. What about liberation theology? Yeah, like I said, people in chat are mad because you keep thinking like, well, I'm a good religious person, or well, I know a good religious person. No. How many Christians do you think believe in liberation theology and practice it? How many can you think? Is it 20 to 30% of them? Or is it like a fraction of a single percent? You know what I mean. Anyway, I try not to talk about religion too much because I know it triggers people. There are a lot of people watching. A lot of you guys are going to be religious. It's going to come off as a personal attack. I don't know. I don't care. Listen, I attack people who play JRPGs. I attack anime viewers as an anime viewer. Listen, it's all taken in good fun, good spirits, and collectively reflect on the fact that there's a very real possibility that the court is going to be debating the legitimacy of same-sex marriage sometime again in the next 4 years. There. Let's focus on the things that matter.